Hello, Patriots. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to cut the intro off early. God bless you. Yeah, I have a theory on that, Gingeroo, and I'll get to that. Tomorrow's going to be an important day, in my opinion. You've got hundreds and hundreds of generals that are going to be at Quantico, and Trump's announced that he's going to be there. And of course, he's supposed to be meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu tomorrow as well. And, whoever's flying John F. Kennedy's little airplane now, because it's the tail number's still going. It comes and goes from Quantico quite a bit, doesn't it, Jedi? Maybe John F. Kennedy Jr. will be at that meeting. I don't know. Something wild there, but we got a lot of wild to look at today. There's a lot of stuff to go through. Sorry I was not on last night. I think I'm going to start taking Saturdays off. Seems like a good day to take off. This is my big question. What happened with James Comey? He was supposed to turn himself in the other day. They kept saying he was going to turn himself in the other day. If you look it up online, this is all you get, talking about the 26th. What's up with that? Is it going to be tomorrow? I want to know where the mugshot is, the perp walk, the cameras. What happened with James Comey? You know what I'm saying? They just kind of let this fizzle out a bunch into nothing. I want to see a mugshot. We better see a mugshot. Prosecutor Maya Song, who told the DOJ there was not enough evidence to indict James Comey, she was fired by the DOJ. Thought I'd throw that in for fun. And of course, James Comer issued the subpoenas in the Epstein case. This was yesterday. Among those, Bill and Hillary Clinton, Bill Barr, Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, Merrick Garland, James Comey. All of them are going to get indicted. They've all lied. Looking at some things, a couple things from yesterday that were going around that I obviously wasn't here to cover. Representatives from 17 U.S. states secretly traveled to Chicago for closed-door meetings with officials from the Chinese Communist Party. It's pretty interesting when you say secret meetings threaten American farmland and food security. Don't like the sound of that. The gatherings were hosted by the U.S. Heartland China Association, which portrayed the meetings as efforts to build resilient partnerships. I thought it was interesting looking at this, that both Charlie Kirk's father and his wife's father both helped build Trump Tower in New York City. Isn't that odd? Both their fathers worked on Trump Tower in New York City. How does that happen? I don't know. I thought that was like, haven't heard anyone talking about that one. She did say yesterday that they have tons and tons, decades worth of her husband's voice and unused speeches and interviews that no one's ever seen, and they're going to release that, I believe.
A year ago, we have decades worth of my husband's voice. We have unused material from speeches that he's had that no one has heard yet. We have Sunday specials lined up to the brim because my husband was so intentional about making sure that there was enough content. Always.
Yeah. He made sure we recorded everything.
Everything.
He would not do a speech unless we could get the video and the...
I think that's pretty cool. It's so Eddie Van Halen. I think hopefully some of the goofy talk about this stuff is about done. The Stu Peters thing, I'm just going to say that the microphone thing, it didn't explode. That timing was weird with the guy, but no, it's just not what happened. If you want my honest opinion, I think I still am on the side of it being faked, and I think they were planning on it for a long time, but that's my theory. We'll look at this. We'll look at some things. She did clarify that she was not there when he died or whatever happened. I know that was something that was talked about in the beginning. That's the news for you. MJ Truth put this out yesterday. 1 week before he was assassinated, Charlie Kirk announced a Doge-like audit within Turning Point USA. Candace Owens has previously reported on Turning Point USA's financial points and says internal sources told her Charlie had concerns about them burning through money too quickly. He was also allegedly more concerned about the flow of money coming in rather than going out. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, money changes a person. I mean, you could tell he was nervous about talking about some of the Israel stuff. And if you have money coming in from Israel, of course you're going to be nervous talking about it because that money's funding what you're doing. Benjamin Netanyahu's just getting freaking weirder and weirder. He was bragging about buying off social media influencers to promote Israel.
Christian influencers. Okay. He said, we talked about the woke right. And he said, I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke Reich. Because these people, you know, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're movies. But they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money. Money of NGOs, vast. Money of governments, vaster. Okay? We have to fight back.
How's that any different from what George Soros is doing, other than if there's any violence on their side, it's secretive. It's propaganda. I think he's lost his mind. Definitely doesn't like the woke right because the woke right doesn't like him very much. I wonder what he's going to be doing tomorrow. I wonder if he's going to the Quantico meeting or if Trump's meeting with Netanyahu after the big generals meeting, or how it's going to work. We're going to look into some of this stuff. Speaking of all that propaganda, the guy that runs Telegram said about a year ago when he was stuck in Paris, the French intelligence services reached out to him to help the Moldovan government censor certain Telegram channels ahead of the presidential elections, and that he wouldn't do it and all that. It's just me telling you how much money they're throwing out. And speaking of that, they've got their own little Charlie Kirk replacement out there now that's it's something else. We'll see that in a few minutes. This was also from yesterday, of course. All hell's kind of breaking loose in Portland. Trump authorized full force if necessary. He did announce that he's sending troops there for the next 2 months. Stephen Miller called it domestic terrorist sedition against the federal government. And Pete Hegseth announced they're deploying the National Guard to Portland for 2 months. Red October and a month to remember. We'll see about that.
And President Donald Trump now setting his sights on Portland, sending military troops to the streets of another American city. Trump calling the state's largest city war-ravaged and authorizing full force to handle any protests. But local leaders in Portland are making it very clear that they did not ask for this deployment. ABC's Jacqueline Lee joins me now with more. Jacqueline, this is just the latest city that Trump is targeting. What's the plan here?
Absolutely, Ike. So President...
I like how they turn it on Trump, the city that he's targeting. Like, he wants to do this, you know. There was a picture I saw somewhere. Yeah, this one's from Chicago. Somebody had stacked homemade shields out there to the Antifa camp outside of Broadview, the processing facility there near Chicago. So, I mean, they're, you know, everyone's warming up for a showdown, guys. And that's kind of the point, I think. It's just an opinion, but a few other things. This was wild about the whole Amelia Earhart thing. Somebody dug up a email to Hillary Clinton from 2012. It says, Madam Secretary, I think I told you that we've been working with a group that has been searching for Amelia Earhart in the Pacific. I think we may have assisted them in a big new development. In short, I think we may have found the plane's location. We'll follow up accordingly. Huge news if true. Best from Biden land. So then Trump posted this. I've been asked by many people about the life and times of Amelia Earhart, such an interesting story, and I would consider declassifying and releasing everything about her, in particular her last fatal flight. Huh. You think there's files about that? I wonder. I don't know. Maybe there's something to it. What do you guys think? Declassifying Amelia Earhart, or is it a distraction? I don't know. You guys got to decide. Last year, Hurricane Helene hit. Yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of Hurricane Helene. And it's weird timing because we're facing another situation in the next few days.
A good Sunday afternoon, everybody. Welcome to special Hurricane HQ coverage here on Fox Weather. I'm Ian Oliver, and breaking right now on Fox Weather, Tropical Storm Imelda has developed over the Bahamas. That just happened with the 2 p.m. update from the National Hurricane Center. Took a little bit longer than expected, to be honest. That had some significant implications in the overall forecast, at least some part. The big story today, the shift in the forecast track, a turn to the right that had been suggested by some of the new AI models for days. The storm's path is now away from the southeast coastline, and although thankfully we aren't expecting a direct landfall, some significant impacts are still likely. We're talking about flooding rain, gusty winds, some coastal impacts from Florida all the way up to the Carolinas. The NHC warns that rain totals could reach up to about 7 inches across the coastal Carolinas by Wednesday morning. Tropical storm alerts, those are in effect for parts of Florida's east coast and both North and South Carolina.
So the timeline, they said Wednesday morning, Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning. The flooding's the problem. It's not so much whether the hurricane makes landfall or hits directly or the wind. I mean, that's bad too, and that's not what's going to happen. But same thing with Hurricane, the Helene situation. And a year ago, plus a day, the timing's weird. So, and these storms, again, can change at any time. So if you're in that area and taking precautions, I would continue to take precautions. This from yesterday, too, or about through the things I missed yesterday. Of course, Fani Willis, that video in the intro was hilarious. She didn't even get a pardon from the auto pin. They want to see her travel records leading up to the election, more or less.
A sign that Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is President Donald Trump's next target. I'm Blair Miller.
And I'm Tracy Hutchins. The Justice Department just subpoenaed her travel records. Atlanta News First, Niamani Watson is live outside the Fulton County Courthouse. And Niamani, this comes just one day after the indictment of another one of President Trump's political enemies.
Yeah, just yesterday, former FBI Director James...
That damn Trump. I'm so tired of hearing the news today. Everything Trump's doing, going after his enemies, blah, blah, blah. Are these people insane? Oh, wait, they are insane. Ha! There's that. Goodbye, Fani Willis. Trump's going after everybody. It's game on, That's what I'm saying. You heard General Flynn call it the beginning. It's the beginning of the final stage is what it is. And you're going to see them fall like dominoes. This was the main story today, of course. The Mormon church in Michigan and the shooter dying and the church catching on fire. It started with the truck crashing into the church, the shooter, before it caught fire, and he fired on people. Gunfire was reported at 10:45. By 10:55, the fire had started. By 11 o'clock, the police had neutralized the suspect and the threat had ended. The fire was ongoing, and last I saw, there was still people unaccounted for. This is the shooter, identified as 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford, a U.S. Marine veteran. And an unknown number of people remain unaccounted for inside the church. Let's take a look at a few things. Of course, there are lots of different shots of the fire from the street, the drone. I wonder, I assume the truck set the fire off, but I don't know. I'm surprised the whole thing went up like it did, but then there was the news story.
Meantime, we are getting reports this afternoon of an active shooter and a fire at a church in Grand Blanc, Michigan. That's about an hour outside of Detroit. Let's go to Brian Yennis. He has the very latest for us. Brian, what can you tell us?
Kevin, good afternoon. A developing story indeed. We can tell you right now that the Grand Blanc police say that fire that you're seeing on your screen was started by a suspected active shooter. Sources telling Fox 2 Detroit that active shooter is now down. So this is the situation we have. We also know, according to that reporting from our local affiliate in Detroit, that there are 6 to 8 victims. Their condition currently unknown at this hour. And
there was 2 reported dead last I saw. Thomas Jacob Sanford. It's weird, though. You see a Marine veteran this time. No trans shooters, huh? Isn't that weird? This was the press conference afterwards.
Make sure that everybody's ready. So, everybody ready? Okay. Hi, I'm Grand Blanc Township Police Chief William Rennie. That's R-E-N-Y-E. Here to give you some preliminary details on an incident that happened earlier today at 10:25 a.m. within Grand Blanc Township. First off, I'd like to say our thoughts and prayers go out to the victims of this incident, which is completely unnecessary and avoidable. The incident that we're going to talk about here today, as I said, was happening at 10:25 a.m. at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
That's what's weird to me at the same time with their founder, of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints dying. It just feels like something's tying in everywhere there.
Breaking news this time out of Utah, where the Church of Latter-day Saints has announced their president, Russell M. Nelson, has died at the age of 101. Mr. Nelson became an apostle in the church in 1984 and became the president in 2018, the oldest in the history of the church. He is survived by his wife, Wendy, 8 of his 10 children, 57 grandchildren, and more than 167 great-grandchildren.
You think there's something deeper going on there? I wonder. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on that particular situation. Canada wants to ban Trump. Trump asked all politicians to stop the human trafficking and fentanyl distribution, but they all refused because they're all owned by the cartels.
And finally, Mr. Speaker, I have a petition that has been signed by Canadians from coast to coast. They note that during the dissolution of the 44th Parliament, petition E5345 was not able to get a response, and it muzzled the voices of the 66,562 Canadians who signed from 10 provinces and 3 territories, declaring that Donald J. Trump is a convicted and sentenced felon of the United States of America. He is an insurrectionist, having engaged in one on his own U.S. Capitol. He's making ongoing threats of both a monetary and sovereign nature against Canada, and they ask that Donald Trump be refused entry to Canada until such time as he cease and desist making threats.
Oh, that would suck for you, Canadians. It would suck for you. Didn't sound like that many people signed it. This was an interesting document that goes back about federal courts and autism. The federal courts compensated 83 vaccine-injured autistic children. Why would they do that? For over 20 years, the federal government has vehemently denied a vaccine autism link, but a new study, the first to examine the successfully adjudicated cases of vaccine-induced brain injury by the Federal Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, uncovered 83 cases of autism among those who have been compensated for vaccine-induced brain damage, most notably encephalopathy, residual seizure disorder, and developmental regression. The evidence uncovered by this study clearly belies public pronouncements by government officials who have for decades misled the public by claiming emphatically that no evidence exists linking autism and vaccines, and no case of vaccine-induced autism has ever been compensated. Clearly a lie. All right, moving forward. So you saw the video, probably in the intro, that Donald Trump posted yesterday about the med beds. The video was an obvious AI video, and Trump, of course, took it down afterwards. But he knew it was AI when he put it up, so most people obviously think he was making a point, and he posted a new video today that we're going to look at in a moment. The media put this up. Trump posts then pulls bizarre AI video promoting medbed conspiracy. Trump is no stranger to outlandish conspiracies or strange social media posts. But Vincent Kennedy said, hold on now. You need to understand one thing, that Donald Trump does not play around when it comes to your wealth or your health. People laughed when he mentioned recognizing Palestine. Look where we are now. They said he would never move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, but look where we are now. They mocked the idea of a space force, but look where we are now. They called Arab-Israeli peace deals a fantasy. If you think he would share something like AI med beds just for your attention, think again, especially after everything we've seen in the medical world. The fact you catch the signals before they turn into reality puts you ahead of most. You've been ahead just by paying attention. Now imagine what Trump knows with access to everything behind the scenes. Remember Elon Musk's subtle comments about anti-aging and hidden health tech. Not to mention, Trump's also told you many times you won't need a hospital eventually. This is not random. You're being prepared. Entire channels exist just to mock Trump because they cannot stand for a leader who delivers. Yeah. Changes the tune a little, huh? And then Trump posted this today.
Revolutionize senior health care. We've all heard about the major systems in our bodies, like the digestive, respiratory, nervous, and cardiovascular systems. But there's one essential system discovered in the 90s that you probably never heard of. It makes all of the other systems work smoothly with each other. Like a conductor ensuring the different sections of an orchestra all play a beautiful symphony together. This system is called the endocannabinoid system. It has been acknowledged and studied by scientists extensively with support from the National Institutes of Health. As we age, the system weakens. As a result, the different systems in our body stop working together smoothly. That's one of the reasons older adults struggle with pain, inflammation, cognitive decline, and other ailments of aging, for which doctors often prescribe dangerous and addictive pharmaceuticals. They also recommend lifestyle remedies, such as exercise, good diet, and stress management. And while all these improve the system, it is only fractionally and over a long time. But here's the game changer. The system can be restored faster using hemp-derived CBD. When the system is restored, pain subsides, sleep is improved, and stress is reduced. When the system is restored, disease progression can slow down, and years are added to your life, as well as years spent in good health. And 20% of seniors are already using CBD today for pain, arthritis, cancer symptoms, sleep disorders, Alzheimer's, and many other ailments of aging. But doctors are not equipped to provide guidance, and there are no FDA standards for what is already in the market today. Imagine if that were the case for other medications. Older adults are suffering needlessly. Hemp-derived CBD can help them feel better, live longer, and improve their quality of life significantly.
A PricewaterhouseCoopers report estimates annual cost savings for the U.S. nearly $64 billion a year if cannabis is fully integrated into the healthcare system.
The groundbreaking 2018 Farm Bill, championed by President Trump, was the first step. Now it's time to educate doctors on the endocannabinoid system, provide Medicare coverage for CBD, and give millions of seniors the support they deserve. You will deliver the most important senior health initiative of the century, cementing your legacy and transforming aging care. Millions everywhere will thank you.
But you never thought you'd see President Trump post something like that, huh? CBD, they tried really hard to keep that stuff banned for a long time, didn't they? Long before weed was legalized in different states. So Trump's posting health videos, guys, and talking about aging reversal. They're talking about your money. They're talking about great things. Keep the faith. Sidney Powell's posting at Elon Musk to stop suppressing conservative voices on X, to remove ghost bans from accounts and to remove them entirely. X is a pain in the butt. Also about tomorrow, not today, I don't know why somebody wrote today on there. Tomorrow's 9/11 forwards and backwards. Isn't that kind of odd? 929. You get it? See how that works? 9/11, 9/11. There's a lot going on in those numbers. Juan's talked about that many times. Tomorrow's going to be a heck of a day. I don't know. I mean, tomorrow's going to be wild all around. You got a lot of people in town for all this. And again, Trump announced that he's going to be attending the gathering of the U.S. military's generals in Quantico. He's saying it's Tuesday. Okay, well, so I guess he meets with Netanyahu tomorrow and the generals Tuesday, but a lot of them already heading into town. I wanted to read this. An open letter to the American people from signatories of the Declaration of Military Accountability. This is from 2024. Somebody is pointing this out in reference to what's happening. In the course of human events, it sometimes becomes necessary to admonish the lawless, encourage the faint-hearted, and strengthen the weak. We have reached just such a time in our history. The affairs of our nation are now steeped in why can't I say that word? Corruption in our once stalwart institutions, including the Department of Defense, are failing to fulfill the moral obligations upon which they were founded. Standing upon our natural and constitutional rights, we hereby apprise the American people that we have exhausted all internal efforts to rectify recent criminal activity within the armed forces. In the Declaration of Independence, our founding fathers sought separation. We seek no separation, but through this letter and the efforts we pledge herein, we pursue restoration through accountability. Do you think that's what tomorrow's all about? Accountability within the armed forces. That's another aspect to look at, I suppose. Interesting stuff. We'll look at more of that in a little bit. There's a lot of stuff to look at tonight. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has canceled his appearance at the JNS conference to attend an unscheduled political meeting ahead of meeting Trump tomorrow. And on top of that, Putin is said to be delivering a major speech this coming week. So you can see things are heating up around the world. Things are happening. Netanyahu's calling for secret meeting suddenly before he's in America tomorrow. Putin's going to talk about something, God knows what, in a big speech this week. So, probably something to do with all the lies being told about Russia right now and claims that they're up to no good. The FBI is now investigating what happened in Michigan. Just popped up on my screen. Trump posted this. We have a real chance for greatness in the Middle East. All are on board for something special. First time ever. We will get it done. Trump's indicating that we may be getting close to a resolution in the Middle East. Hopefully Netanyahu's on board for that too. We've been close before, but Trump and others in his administration seem confident a deal will get done. This would definitely be a huge win, and Vice President Vance spoke about this yesterday, actually. Trump posted about the meetings.
It's been very clear. He actually wants Gaza to be controlled by the people who live there. He wants the West Bank to be controlled by the people who live there. And he wants the terrorist networks that are around the Israelis to be dismantled so they can no longer pose a threat to Israel, especially the innocent civilians who live in Israel. It's never easy. As we've learned in the Middle East over many years, this stuff comes in fits and starts, and it can take very weird turns. But I think the president has gotten us to a point where we're at the 1-yard line, and all of us are very hopeful we can sort of punch through to the end zone and accomplish a major, major thing for peace in the region.
The 1-yard line, huh? It's a good place to be. It would be nice to see things wrap up, and I do think that's what Trump plans ultimately, is to allow it to be run by its people. Doesn't mean there'll be a Palestinian state necessarily. I don't know. Either way, the strikes continue in Gaza, and of course, the news continues.
The United States is revoking a visitor's visa granted to Colombia's President Gustavo Petro. The move comes after Petro appeared in New York at a pro-Palestinian rally where he encouraged protests. CBS's Haley Yad at our London bureau is tracking the latest developments.
There's supposed to be more to that
Many
story.
who can't afford to leave. Around them, buildings turned to rubble, including this one, sheltering displaced people. Among those killed, a 9-year-old girl.
I don't want to show that on here. You guys get the idea. There's still buildings being leveled, sadly, and people, innocent people dying. Thousands in Israel are still taking to the streets, demanding it end. The protests continue there. Oh, you gotta love how the news recycles itself. This was posted, I think, by SG Anon. The photo shows Israeli army trucks with loudspeakers broadcasting Netanyahu's speeches to displace Gaza residents. Where did the Israeli army get this idea? From Nazi Germany, when they spread Hitler's propaganda in concentration camps. Interesting. Trump posting about the FBI agents in the crowd on January 6, 274. This is different from what Director Wray stated over and over again. That's right, as it now turns out, FBI agents were at and in the January 6th protest, probably acting as agitators and insurrectionists, but certainly not as law enforcement officials. I want to know who each and every one of these so-called agents are, all 274, and what they were up to on that now historic day. Yeah, we need to look at that footage. Many great American patriots were made to pay a very big price only for love of their country. I owe this investigation of dirty cops and crooked politicians, which that's a Cube post, by the way, to them. Christopher Wray, the then director of the FBI, has some major explaining to do. That's 2 in a row. Comey and Wray, who got caught lying with our great country at stake. We can never let this happen again. Well, I suppose maybe Chris Wray's going down soon, and he needs to. Although Trump did say, or Q said, trust Wray. Marjorie Taylor Greene posted that she's not suicidal and that she's one of the happiest, healthiest people you will meet. I have full faith in God and Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. As a sinner, I'm only saved through His grace and mercy. With that said, if something happens to me, I ask you all to find out which foreign government or powerful people would take heinous actions to stop the information from coming out. Not only about this issue, but because of the truth that I've been speaking. The people know what I'm saying. And it's in response to this post. Be clear to set the record straight on my support for the Massey Epstein discharge position. I stand with girls and women who are sexually abused and raped. Oh, the Epstein stuff. That's a debacle. It's never going to get lived down unless they start the patchwork now. This has been going around. Erica Kirk was once in a music video 13 years ago where she swung past a 9 and a 10. What of it? This is the Charlie Kirk replacement. This is who you need to watch out for. Pay attention to and realize that he's not carrying on Charlie Kirk's work. He's carrying on Israel's work. He's Israel's new boy. Brillen Hollihan, teen conservative hailed as Charlie Kirk's protege, promises to be bolder as he now tours campuses. Oh, fuck.
What we're seeing going on right now across college campuses all over the country, specifically Yale and Columbia, they're getting shut down and overrun by these anti-Jew protesters, these pro-Gaza protesters, these terrorist sympathizers. That's what they are. Let's call it out for what it is. It's disgusting. It's vile. It's inhumane. Listen, the Democrat Party is being radio silent on this. Why? Because these are their own supporters. And in the case of Ilhan Omar, her actual daughter out there standing in the picket line and protesting this. It's disgusting. And they should be calling it out. It's pretty easy to come on and say, hey, we're pro-Israel. We're pro-Jewish people. We're pro-America. It's that simple. But instead, the Democrats are supporting this anti-Israel message being spouted by their supporters out there in Columbia and Yale. And they're supporting this Death to America chant by letting this continue on. They've got to put a stop to this. On the other hand, Republicans are pro-Israel, we're pro-America, and we're pro-protecting Jewish citizens not only in Israel, but across the world, even here in America. That is our stance. It couldn't be more clear, and their stance couldn't be more disgusting.
Yeah, but Charlie Kirk's stance wasn't so clear. Was he in the crosshairs of Israel?
And Jewish donors, they have a lot of explaining to do, a lot of decoupling to do, because Jewish donors have been the number one funding mechanism of radical, open border, neoliberal, quasi-Marxist policies, cultural institutions, and nonprofits. This is a beast created by secular Jews. And now it's coming for Jews, and they're like, what on earth happened? And it's not just the colleges. It's the nonprofits. It's the movies. It's Hollywood. It's all of it. It's like time for you guys to wake up and say no more. Draw a line in the sand.
Draw a line in the sand. Anyway, this kid is everywhere now, and he's bad news.
What's up, America? Rylan Hollyhan's here, about 30,000 feet up. We are on the way to Arkansas. So everybody in line at the University of Arkansas to kick off my 10-stop campus tour. We are coming to you right here, right now. Stay in line. We have gotten a third room because we have sold out this campus stop 3 times. But we are coming to you. We will fit you in. Students will get priority, but we will make it happen. I cannot be more excited. We are back. We are on the road. We're coming to you one conversation at a time. If you're not at the University of Arkansas, we're coming to a campus near you soon. So check out my tour dates. We'll see you super soon.
That kid's going to be a problem. I think I said Brillen. I think he said his name is Brylan. Brylan Hollihan, the new Israeli boy, preaching a bit of a different tune on campuses now in the name of Charlie Kirk, allegedly. This number's gone up. It was at 1.8. It's over 2 million signatures now. People begging them not to introduce digital ID at the UK government. More like demanding. So The Department of Homeland Security's social media impressions page outpaced the viewership of both MSNBC and CNN over this summer. The Department of Homeland Security averaged 6.3 million daily impressions in July, compared to MSNBC's 738,000 viewers in prime time. It's pretty impressive, really, when more people are looking at the government page than the news. That's what's had to happen a long time. U.S. Department of Energy will return $13 billion intended for Joe Biden's climate agenda to American taxpayers. I wouldn't get too excited over that. I'm pretty sure that's like, what, $40 a person? I don't know. I suck at math. But I'm glad he's doing that. I think it's a sign of what else he's going to be doing soon, the other things that need returned to you. On the sad side of things, if you live in New York, Eric Adams, not that he was great either, dropped out of the mayoral race.
Eric Adams is dropping out of the race for New York City mayor. The election coming up this November. Let's go right to Laura Barron Lopez, MSNBC White House correspondent, to talk about what we're hearing. It was just reported, we believe, first by the New York Post, but it was something that he just posted on social media. What are the details?
So it looks like after a lot of weeks of back and forth, Alex, Eric Adams has finally decided that he's going to be dropping out of this race. And even though he had bad poll numbers, he was for a while there saying that he was going to stick in it, that he was going to see this through to the end, even though there was back and forth also with the White House and with President Trump. And now ultimately he has decided to pull the plug here, after pressure from President Trump, who wanted to see this happen because of the fact that...
So what does that leave? Mom Donnie, Cuomo. I think there's one more. God help New York. So the government may be shut down at midnight on Tuesday if the Democrats don't agree to the short-term bill to keep the U.S. government open. It's coming quick.
The clock is ticking on a possible government shutdown. The U.S. government runs out of money at midnight on Tuesday if lawmakers cannot reach a deal to keep the government open. With just a few days to find a compromise, President Trump and congressional Democrats are locked in a stalemate over the GOP's current government funding plan.
Blackout necessary when shutdown. Florida is receiving $40 million in federal funds for immigration enforcement. Woohoo. Feed the alligators.
Florida and local law enforcement are getting nearly $40 million in federal funds to help with immigration enforcement. And this comes from agreements allowing for non-federal law enforcement officers to act as immigration officials. Action News Jack state and local government reporter Jake Stofan is with us downtown live now. And Jake,
what do they need money for that for? They need to give them all their own pet alligators. Maybe they're buying them all guns. I don't know. Moving forward, Iran's not happy about the new sanctions placed on them.
A decade after they were lifted, the United Nations reimposed their sweeping sanctions on Iran, right as the clock struck midnight in Tehran on Sunday. In the streets of the capital, locals were anxious about their already struggling economy.
We are worried, yes, we are worried because our children's future is at risk. There is no rainwater, electricity and water keep getting cut off. And if sanctions come, there will be no medicine at all. Where are we supposed to get medicine from?
It's interesting to see the people of Iran, very human, just like you and me. They worry about their children, their futures. I think we already saw the stack of shields outside the Broadview facility. The FBI has fired all the agents who were photographed kneeling during a 2020 racial justice protest after the death of George Floyd. Yay, FBI.
In national news, at least 15 FBI agents were fired yesterday in connection to the protests following the death of George Floyd in 2020. The agents had been assigned to help secure federal buildings during the demonstrations when a standoff developed between protesters and FBI agents. Some agents were photographed kneeling, which was described as a tactic to de-escalate the conflict. The FBI declined to comment on the firings, but the FBI Agents Association says in a statement they, quote, strongly condemn the firings as unlawful and that the firings violated the due process of rights for those who risk their lives.
You kneeled. You didn't risk your life. You knelt. You failed. Failure. You failed. You're fired. You're fucking fired. Get out of here. Trump administration official working with RFK Jr. was physically assaulted by a deranged leftist in the United Nations bathroom last week when all the speaking was happening.
Deranged leftist assaults Trump official in UN bathroom during General Assembly. Friends, this is beyond outrageous. During the UN General Assembly in New York, a brave Trump administration official from the Department of Health and Human Services was stalked, filmed, and physically assaulted by a deranged leftist right inside a UN bathroom. She was there supporting HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
That story's just starting to come out, so we'll see if more comes out about it in the future. Remember the shooting the other day at the baseball game in Texas? The kids playing the games, and they said they were just target shooting the 3 Muslim men that were arrested. Turns out, I called it, they have taxpayer-funded ties to the Muslim Brotherhood, the hotbed of anti-Christian hate. Who would have thought? Target shooting my ass. They shot at those children, and they shot that coach, and they need to be held responsible. Fucking asshats. Pardon my French. So, if you haven't buckled up yet, it's a good time. I agree. Checklist. Armed National Guard in D.C. and several cities, including Portland. Check. Confirming conservative judges. Check. JAG can prosecute misdemeanors in D.C. Check. Law enforcement backed up by the Federal Department of Justice. Check. Executive order Antifa designated as terrorist. Check. Executive order to dismantle Antifa. Check. Miller warned domestic terrorists will live in exile. Check. FBI Bongino preparing to go after corrupt politicians. Check. Venezuela agrees to imprison USA criminal thugs for a small fee. Check. Opposing the death penalty in D.C. Check. Department of War top brass to meet Tuesday, not Monday. Check. Reports of D.C. getting fenced in. Check. TikTok allowing conservative voices and data to be protected. Check. And Comey to be indicted, or was indicted. Check. And don't forget the list. They're all going to get indicted, guarantee you. You got Comey, McCabe, Strzok, Bill Priestap, Lisa Page, all these people tied to Russiagate, going to go down. And then it's on to election fraud, which they're already working on. This was kind of interesting. General Flynn, Patient Zero, the blueprint of the coup, the man Obama feared, the man who knows where the bodies are buried. He did a very interesting episode of Charlie Kirk right before Charlie Kirk died. And we might actually look at that. And it talks about it here. The voice they couldn't silence. On August 6th, Charlie Kirk aired the most explosive interview in modern history. His guest, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, the man Obama feared, the man the FBI tried to destroy, Patient Zero, the blueprint of the coup. Obama personally told Trump, don't hire Flynn. Yep. We all know that stuff. Hamas says that it's lost contact with 2 of those Israeli hostages in Gaza City during the siege. Uh-oh.
Israeli artillery lobbed shells and tanks moved deeper into Gaza City on Sunday, where local health authorities said they have been unable to respond to desperate calls from residents in targeted areas. Israeli forces are closing in on western parts of Gaza City, where hundreds of thousands of people are sheltering. Hundreds of thousands more have fled south, urged by Israel to seek shelter ahead of the assault. Many have been forced to live in tents, and some without even that. Saida Auni.
Yeah, I can only hope those two hostages escaped and turn up. Otherwise, it's going to interfere with this deal, supposedly. It's more like Hamas is probably covered in their ass because they probably killed them. Are you ready for some comms from Bill Gates? Donates $107 billion and sets a foundation closure date. He's going bye-bye. Message. $107 billion. There's no message there. There's a message there. This is a sad story I had to report on because it just reflects the problems in our country when a 9th grader kills himself on a field trip.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Evans. Orem is dealing with tragedy again tonight. A student at Canyon View Junior High was with several hundred classmates on a field trip today in Provo Canyon when his life came to an end with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Fox 13 News reporter Scott McCain has been covering this story all day and joins us tonight from the school. Scott.
Yeah, good evening, Bob. It was a very somber, very emotional gathering here outside Canyon View Junior High, and many of the students in attendance, many of them 9th graders, leaving within just the past few minutes. But this started to kind of coalesce and come together earlier in the evening. And
it's a sad story. So the meeting Tuesday, the generals, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Robert Kraft made a short video about it that I want to check out next. It's
like summoning.
Oops. It's like 5 minutes long, and he's always got a really interesting take on these things. So let's listen in.
What's up, everybody? So we're going to talk about Hegseth summoning. Now remember the word summons is judicial. Okay? When you get summoned, you're going to court. Okay? But Hegseth, as in the capacity of the Secretary of War versus the Secretary of Defense, is summoning the top commanders, the generals, right? And if you watch the video from the UN, when they introduced Trump, they call him His Excellency and President of the United States of America. Well, President of the United States of America is Article 2. His Excellency is King. Okay? Remember I talked earlier about him inspecting his European army? So Hegseth is summoning the generals. If you watch, there's an interview where even there was like a news coverage that actually said he must have been confused because he referenced them as like foreign, like he was calling the foreign generals. He didn't call them foreign, but he did say they were the commanders of the world. Okay, of the world forces. What he's saying is generals are not American. They are flag officers. If you go back to my videos, I've explained this. I've explained that generals are international chambers of commerce magistrates. They are foreign to America. That's their foreign rank. Okay? That is their foreign pay grade, all right? Under NATO or the World Health Organization or the Federated States, and most of them have foreign citizenships. They don't have American citizenships, okay? So So what's happening, right? What you're seeing happening, what's happening, this whole thing with Hegseth summoning them to the farm, they're going to the farm. Why? Because we were farmers. That's why it's called the farm. Marine Corps Quantico is the farm. The residence from the South Lawn is the White House. Okay? So the other night, the Marine Corps Silent Platoon in formation entered from the South Lawn into the Oval Office as an assembled platoon. That means the American Marines have come back from the South. Now Hegseth is having a meeting on Tuesday. Why are they having the meeting? Every one of those generals were at one point in time American Eagle colonels. Once you leave the colonel position, you go to general. But they're foreign generals because they work for the flag. The flag is the Federated States of Micronesia. Okay? So what's happening is he's summoning them back because this is the gathering of the eagles. This is the kingdom, the people's kingdom nation coming online. This is the cardinals to establish the Pope for the Western Hemisphere. If you go back to my stuff, I told you that King Ferdinand, the Pope, established West Florida. Andrew Jackson was the first Pope. Andrew Jackson issued the Northwest Ordinance and started making all of these ordinances, which are basically Pope-like actions, and all this stuff that happened in 1819 with the Treaty of Sessions. So what's happening is the eagles are gathering. They are gathering to ratify the Western Hemispherical American Pope, or King of the West. That's what's happening. Okay? But they have to come back because they have to come out of their foreign capacity of the flag. They have to get into their American capacity as eagles or colonels so that they can ratify and vote. They're probably going to get educated on the fact that America lost the War of 1812. We've been occupied and usurped since 1814. And basically all the American veterans have been locked out of the nation. And basically our whole country has been occupied by foreign forces that we thought were domestic, but they weren't. They were foreign. And that's why we've been basically abandoned. But this is the return of the people's kingdom nation and the American Republic. And that's what you're seeing, because the generals, the commanders, have to be seated in formation so that they can cast their vote for it's the Cardinals. They're electing the Western Hemispherical Pope, or King of the West. So King of America. That's what's happening. I told you America's kingdom. So this is it. This is what's happening. So at least that's what I think's happening. So God bless and Godspeed.
The Kingdom of America. I like the sound of that. I need to get a horse. We're going to watch something really awesome here. 1 second. I forgot to. That's Robert Kraft. I forgot to show a video earlier. It's only like a minute. It goes in a little more detail about the Doge audit with Turning Point. Then we got some cool stuff and a long list of awesome stuff we got to look at.
Here, he'd be talking about the weird things that were being told about this story, right? Ironically. And so many people have reached out and they spoke about the finances at Turning Point USA. And, I'm not exactly a forensic accountant, but I know that other people, other journalists got really interested in this angle who were similarly receiving leaks and have pushed this off to forensic accountants. And some of the stuff is getting very interesting. But I did want to show you guys this because I think this proves what we have been hearing. It's at least a starting point. An insider who said that they were there and present when Charlie had expressed some concerns about where the money was going. And leading up to that moment, Charlie had by and large completely removed himself outside of the organ of fundraising, which is to say that he, it wasn't something that he necessarily had his finger on. Of course, he always would show up for top donor meetings. He is the face of the company. But in terms of the accounting specifics, he trusted his lieutenants. Of course, something that big, you're clearing $100 million.
Had some serious money issues, in short. So, hey, oh God, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Michael Jago's doing an episode right now trying to see if there's a connection between Charlie Kirk and the Mormon church guy dying and the shooting today. We are going to look at this because there's a new series on Michael Jago. It's where we're going to start tonight. It's the Eyes on Gitmo series. I wanted to take a look. It's a round table, and we'll go from there. There's quite a few things to look at tonight. I'll see you in the chat. Alrighty, Patriots. I think that's a good place to wrap up for now, since Juan's checked out. If you do want to watch the rest of that, Space Shot 76 is on Rumble, and I'm pretty sure he's on YouTube again, last I knew. So, really glad you were all here today. There's stuff we didn't get to. There was new Sheila Holmes and other Juan and stuff. We'll look at that tomorrow, unless there's lots of new stuff out, and we'll keep rolling. So again, important stuff tomorrow. Trump meets with Benjamin Netanyahu. Tuesday is the meeting with the generals, although some people talk about it being tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it's Tuesday. Interesting stuff. We'll see where everything goes. Still waiting to see if James Comey turns himself in or what happens with that. It just kind of went over everyone's heads, kind of. He was supposed to turn himself in 2 days ago, and I don't know what happened. So anyway, it's a long week. It's going to be an even longer one tomorrow. Keep in mind, too, the government may not be running by Wednesday if a shutdown happens, so we'll see what happens there, too. Anyway, I'll be back on tomorrow night, same time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And, yeah. Hope you guys had fun. I had fun hanging with you. It's a good long show full of Juan. Juan's been pretty straightforward lately, kind of changed in his tune a little bit. I mean, it's a different style I like. I mean, I think I've learned more from Juan than any of these guys, really, but it's it is a certain way because I think it has to be. Anyway, it's midnight here, and I think that's officially my cue. So God bless you, Patriots. I will see you all tomorrow. Good night.